So today we are doing project 1.3. So let's get into the code first. So here I have the code for follow player. This is the object that I have designed to follow to seek the player. So let's start with the new code. So I added a branch here for is chasing player variable. If it is not playing variable, it will, or if it is not chasing player, it will play this sound, which I promoted to a variable to allow us to change the sound outside of the object itself. Same here with the text. I promoted it to variable so that we can change it outside of coming into here as well. And then I did make all of these visible to designer. Setting, so you'll see that I have initial speed, abbreviated as init speed. This is what the speed will be set to initially. This was because originally when I built this, or when I was building this, it would also set the speed to 0 here for a split second. Actually, it would set it to 0 and then it would delay. But that ended up being removed, but I didn't change the variable, so it will just be initial speed. But then once it prints the line of text, it'll come to another branch, and based on if the player and the object itself are overlapping, is the condition for this branch. And it will set, if it is overlapping, it will set it to not chase player, and if it is overlap or isn't overlapping, it will set it to chase the player. Then we added in the event actor begin overlap. We grab the actor of this object itself and spawn it at the location, and this is the explosion effect, and we'll see that in action here in a minute. So now let's talk about the seeker spawner. We have event begin play. At the beginning of play, it will enable the input for the player 0 controller. Start looking for and it will start looking for input from the controller. And then when G is pressed rather than P, I wanted it to be closer to the movement keys than in the tutorial. It will run the custom event spawn seeker, and that would be this custom event here. And when it's called, it will spawn the follow player object at the location of where the spawner is. And it is from default set to not move, so I am glad that I left the code in here to have it basically loop back to being in a is chasing player true scenario. So now let's see that in action. So we have our little maze area that I created. We're going to come to the main area where we have lots of open space here. And I'm going to stand up on the desk.
Ha! No.
It spawned, and it was immediately set to not be in the direction of the player. And that's why I'm glad I left the sound and the message in there, so that it loops back into being in a true status, and then it'll start moving towards the player.
Ha! No.
And then when it overlaps, as you just saw in the background, it will explode. And then just to show you, it does it spawns the explosion at the it was.
Ha! Ha! No.
Do it closer. Over here. So that was the destroying and the creation of a new actor.
Ha! No.
The storing of variables and the overlapping of actors as a trigger.